welcome back to my channel. I am in my cutting space today because I have so many items to show. I figured it'd be much easier to have them on the rack and then come in with my April lookbook. So the first thing I am going to start with is a little bit of a real talk here. Thank you everybody for your comments. Oh, that's the stove beeping, if you can hear that. Thank you everybody for your comments and support for the last video, which was my Caroline pajamas video. And so here's a little bit of some real talk. I told you at the start of doing the Caroline pajamas, that's these. You know, I was already just overwhelmed with so many pieces for something that I'm just going to sleep in. So I worked through that and went ahead and got through that, got all the pieces cut out. Then you have to realize, having to make all those adjustments, I was like, oh, and then the shorts didn't fit, and I was just, yeah. So anyway, one of the things that I realized during that process is that, and I talked a little bit about this in the Caroline pajamas video, is that really almost deterred me from ever wanting to do adjustments again. But then I had to sit back, and this is what probably prolonged the process of me completing those pajamas. One of the things I come to realize is that, let me be a little bit kinder to myself here. I love me, so let me be kinder to myself. And I say that to say, me trying to adjust patterns in which I don't fit into the measurement size is kind of pointless. And let me explain that. Even for patterns that are within my measurements, like if for example, if a pattern is like 10 inches or whatever beyond my measurements, I'm not going to go through the sewing modifications and adjustments to try to make that pattern fit me when it's not within a reasonable amount of my measurements. It just doesn't make any sense. And that did not come to me until after I finished the pajamas, or coming close to finishing the pajamas, that why am I spending all this time doing all these adjustments, added onto the fact of the pattern pieces. Pattern pieces aside, let's just talk about the adjustments. Why spend all this time doing all these adjustments, and then the pants didn't fit. But then remember, part of that was my fault, the shorts, because I didn't do the circumference adjustment. But then it was fine because it brought me to this realization. Even when I was buying ready to wear clothes, just because I saw clothes in stores that I didn't normally shop at because they were smaller sizes, I didn't go into those stores in the ready to wear store, buy the largest in the smallest size store, take them somewhere and have them adjusted, added more fabric to it just so they can fit me. That absolutely makes no sense. So I'm not going to do that with patterns that are outside of my, or that are not within, I should say, my measurements. So I hope that makes sense. So that does not mean for those that are within my measurement size that I can comfortably make adjustments to, that I won't be making adjustments. I absolutely will. I will continue to do, even as I lose weight, I said this before, I'll be making full bust adjustments. You can't really see here anyway, but I've talked about, I believe it was in my style aesthetic video, that the little tire around my waist. All plus size women are not curvy, and all plus size women don't have a stomach. That's also key. But for me, I have curvy areas, but around my stomach area is where there's a little extra flesh, little extra meat I need to accommodate. And so I'm not going to, there's a lot of different things I myself personally take into consideration when I'm making adjustments. And so I'm not going to exasperate myself going through all these mental acrobats, cutting out patterns, doing all these adjustments if the pattern is not reasonably within my current measurements. Now, that does not to say once I have continued to lose weight and everything that I would not go back to the Caroline pajamas. I can see myself most certainly doing that, because remember, the top was fine. The first one, I didn't make the adjustment on the around the waist area, but the main one did fit still. So that's just my little, I know, 5 minutes there of just a little real talk about how I feel about adjustments. My vote is that I am going to be kind to myself in making these adjustments. I will always have to make hip adjustments and different things of that nature, but I'm not going to first have to go through this acrobat of extending the pattern out and going through all those changes. So anyway, that's just my own personal thought and opinion. So let me jump into this month's, and let me know your thoughts down below. Am I just way off base here, or just let me know what your thoughts are. But let me jump into this month's lookbook. Let me arrange some things and I will be right back. All right, so let me get right into it. And this will probably go pretty fast because a couple of these are no longer available, and so I'll get to those. So as you already know, I have completed the Caroline pajamas, and I am not going to go into it, but for those who did not see them, remember I did the wearable muslin, and then I did the final, and I just did different shorts with the final instead of the Caroline pajamas. And so I'm not going to go into that. You can watch that. I'll link that in the cards up above, and you can go back and watch that video. I did a whole separate review of the Caroline pajamas, so I won't go into that. I did finish also, and remember, that's my make 9. So I'm starting with my make 9 that I finished. So crossed off the list is my Caroline pajamas. Crossed off the list is my Jennifer Lauren Nixie briefs, and I totally forgot to do a video, so I'm not going to go into any detail, but let me just show you my wearable muslin, which is kind of funny to say about some underwear, as if I'm not going to wear them, but these are my wearable muslins. I'm not going to go into any detail. Like I said, completed those. That video will be up on Wednesday, so make sure you subscribe, and I will go into my thoughts and everything about the Jennifer Lauren Nixie briefs. I actually did the high waist ones. And so remember, I was supposed to do the McCall's 6754. The one I was going to do is this. So I went ahead and made all of the adjustments to the pattern. Let me see if I can show you the line drawings. See the line drawings? So it's a very deep neckline and deep neck back line. So what I did, I went ahead and raised that up, the front and the back, and I made the necessary adjustments on it. Wasn't no big deal. Little full bust adjustment, and extended the waist a little bit, I think by 1 inch or something, on 2 inches total, and did all those adjustments. And remember, I was going to use this fabric and I'm going to show you what I end up doing, but I didn't have enough fabric to do that. So I had to switch gears, scratch my head, and figure out, okay, what am I going to do? So what I ended up doing was the Valentine and Stitch, and I'll pop up a picture here, the Valentine and Stitch Dune tank dress. So it's the Dune tank. Let me just show you. This is what the tank looks like. And then you can also make the dress. Unfortunately, Valentine and Stitch closed down their shop. I think it was 2 months ago. And so they're no longer available. They're no longer on Instagram or anything. So you can't get their patterns anymore. And so, which is unfortunate. They have some really cute patterns. But because I had the pattern, I went ahead and said, you know what? I've never made the Dune tank dress, so I will go ahead and do that, and that is what I ended up doing. And so let me just tell you, it turned out fine. But what I did was, because the front and back gets cut on the fold, because I didn't have a lot of fabric, I had to kind of manipulate the pattern pieces, and I kept changing them around and everything like that, and I accidentally laid the front piece on the selvage and I put the back piece on the fold. So when I went to sew it up and everything like that, I realized, oh my gosh, I put the wrong pattern piece on the selvage, because the back piece, I don't mind being on the selvage. And so it was this big old seam down the middle, and it just made it so obvious that there was no pattern matching or anything like that. So I said, what am I going to do? So I decided to put on some ribbon here and just kind of break it up a little bit to see if that will make it look any better, and it did. And I forgot to take pictures of it, how it looked before I added this, but once I added the little detail, and this will be a casual weekend, you know, run to the store type outfit, and I'll pop up pictures, but yeah, so that's what I ended up doing, and I'll have to just wait and get the right fabric. I think I probably have something that I will use for this now that the adjustments are done, and go ahead and make that. So that's what I did on that one. And also along with the dune tank, what I end up doing is making 2 more, and just out of necessity. And so what I end up doing was making this one, and you would have seen this if you saw my smiley video where I did the review of the Samantha dress pattern. I ended up making the dune tank to go up under that because it was open, the wrap part was open, and I wanted a similar color tank underneath. So I had enough fabric to go ahead and whip out a dune tank, so I did that. I also whipped out another one. These weren't on my makes for this month. I also made this one, and if you recall, this matches my So Over It Eve dress. And as I'm losing weight, and I think I've said this before, I tend to lose weight from here down first, and so the wrap dress is it doesn't cover up as much. So I went ahead and made a matching dune tank, which covers up. So the opening now, it all matches. And so I like that. And I've wanted to do that anyway. So yeah. And plus I can wear these separate with other things. So I went ahead and made 2 dune tanks. The other thing I did was Berta pants. Remember I talked about these Berta pants? I made them. Now the pattern calls for a woven. And when I looked up on pattern reviews, someone used a ponte knit. And I was like, oh, okay, if I can find a ponte knit, I'll use it, or something similar. So what I did was I went to Joann Fabrics here. And so I got this fabric on the ground. This is actually, what is this? It's a knit, but it's a nylon knit or something like that. Sorry, when I go to the store, sometimes I'm not good about writing things down. And I absolutely love them. Now, I have pockets on here. And here's the thing, this pattern, from what I can tell, only comes in plus sizes. It's not offered in smaller sizes, from what I could tell, because someone asked. It goes from an 18. It fits from a US 18 to a US 30, which are measurements. I believe this is hip measurement from a 44 through a 56. And so, yeah, and I was looking up reviews because I was looking up, you know, different fabrics people might have used for this. And so that's what I saw, because somebody posted on their website, will this pattern be coming out for smaller sizes? But anyway, it is so easy to sew up. And here they are. I'll pop up pictures here. But I absolutely love these. What it is doing, because I have these ready to wear jogging pants. I got this from one of those, for those in the US, KG Fashion, so not terribly expensive type stores. And I remember needing some, and this was several years ago, and I needed some pants, but of course these are, because it's not good quality, the elastic is all rolled up in here and everything like this, and I have been wanting to replace these for years. And so I have a black pair and a gray pair. So I went ahead and did a black pair, and so now I can donate that maybe to the Goodwill or something. Yeah, so I end up making them, and they turned out so cute. Absolutely love them. The only thing is, I don't know, I think I have a video that I'll pop up. The only thing is, because I just cut out the larger size, and I figured, you know, I can make adjustments if it's too big, and it was too big. I had to take in the sides a little bit, and it's not too big because I used a stretch knit, because this is not terribly stretchy. It's not all that stretchy. but the measurements were pretty true. And I didn't have to cut out the 56. I should have cut out the 54 for enough room in my hips, and then tapered in a little bit as I go down to the end of the legs there. And then the crotch depth, I should have took the crotch depth up 1.5 inches, but I just left it the way the pattern cuts for it. But yeah, I absolutely love them. I know they're black, you can't really see them. The only mistake I made which was so funny, because it calls for, can you see that? Like you have 2 rows of elastic, the top and the bottom, and then this middle casing is where your drawstring goes through. And I was doing all of this while sitting on the sofa watching TV, and I was just drawing everything in, and I realized I actually drew the string in on the wrong side. So here is again, this is black. See, I started it, and you're supposed to close this, and I was like, I don't see why, because can't nobody see it. But on the front, can you see that? You make these buttonholes, and that's where I was supposed to run it in from. But by the time I got to the other side to run it out, it was in the front, and then it dawned on me, whoops, I ran it through the wrong side. But doggone it, I was not pulling this all out as long as it took me to pull it through. So yeah, it's kind of but I just laughed at myself, and I was like, oh, okay, no big deal. But anyway, so yeah, in the back it went in, through the front came out. So I just tie it this way. It don't bother me or anything like that. So yeah, I absolutely love them. These will be my go-to lounge pants, and what I will do is do them in a woven. I'm thinking of some fun woven maybe I can do them in. I definitely want to do this looks like a chambray type fabric. I definitely want to try that. So lovely. And I can see how these definitely could be something, if you do them in a nice woven, that can be worn, you know, on a casual Friday at work or something like that. So yes, that is that. And the last thing, this is a little long. The last thing I completed was remember I said I was going to do the Ella Cami and the goal was just to do the Ella Cami, but I ended up doing the Ella Cami and the shorts. And so here is the Cami. I will pop up a picture, and I did it in the fabric I said I would, and which is the back. Okay. And so I made my necessary adjustments to it. And the reason I made adjustments was I wanted the straps to be larger, not because the pattern wasn't within my measurements, but I wanted to make the straps longer. And so, or not longer, wider. And so I did that, though I think I did this in the wrong fabric, because this here, you see how it's crinkly? Hopefully you can tell. It's a little crinkly, but it stretches that way. And it's like a stretch woven, because this is definitely a woven. And so when I made all the adjustments to the pattern pieces, I just didn't pay attention to all of that. And so there is a little bit of gaping on the sides where it would stretch. And so, because yeah, this should have fit just fine and close underneath, because I started out with a smaller size and I graded in up top here. Because from here to here is where I'm more hollow. And so I know I need to make this part smaller to fit and lay properly. And then I graded back out towards the waist. And so, yeah, there was a little bit of gaping. And again, I believe because of the type of fabric, the way the direction is stretched or whatever. But I love this pattern. It was really easy to pull together. And I know everybody loves them some Ogden Cami. And I was going back and forth if I wanted that pattern. And I don't, because I don't want to go through all that adjustments for that. And I think that the Ella Cami is just as pretty. I did not do the ruffle. I just extended the bottom, and I love the way that it looks. And it turned out perfect. Absolutely. This will be my go-to Cami. And then I did these shorts. So it comes with, it's kind of like a pajama set, the Ella Cami, then the shorts in the, you can do pajama pants. And so here are the shorts. Absolutely love them to go with my Caroline pajama shorts. And I really Love this. Again, I didn't have to do any adjustments. I just made the size that was on my measurements, and I love the way this finish is. I'll pop up a little quick video here, but what I did was do the method that Karina from Lifting Pins and Needles, she did a series on the Ella Cami and on that pattern, so I'll link that down below. But look at that. I just love that, and these are super duper comfortable and definitely another go-to pattern for making pajama bottoms. So, or even just some casual shorts can be made using this. I'm using this, but I probably stick to pajamas because I'm not a elastic shorts person really. But yeah, anyway, love these. So those are my makes for the month. I know this was a little bit long video. In the beginning was me talking about adjustments and all of that, but stay tuned because on Tuesday I'll have a video on another pattern review I did, a separate video, and then Wednesday I will have my Jennifer Lauren Handmade Nixie Brief Make 9 pattern review. And then I'll show you all of the ones that I finished. So all right, everybody, that is it. Happy Sunday. I am going to, upload this, make some edits. And if you have any questions, leave them down below. And yeah, share your thoughts. Thumbs up the video if you thought it was a good video. And we will see you in the next video.